What is going on, guys? Welcome back to the podcast. We got a big one here today. Our first guest here on Mic Time. Yep. But before, I got a little intro. All right. This is Mic Time's first guest to the podcast. He is a Marine veteran, a dog dad, and an owner of an awesome company named Carbon Fanatics. Our friend Sam Wu.
Sam Wu.
Welcome.
Woo! Woo!
What's going on, guys?
That works. That works. There you go.
on?
There you go.
Thanks for having me, Cody and Jay. It's a true honor to be the first guest, and I'm very, very blessed and very honored to be here to talk about my experiences, my military experiences, as well as my life experience, learning from my time in the military. So, yeah, very happy to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yo, we're super happy to help you. We're super happy to have you. My question is, so we mentioned in the intro that he's a former Marine, but you were also Army vet.
Yes, so I spent, my first 6 years were in the Marine Corps.
What year did you join the Marines?
I joined in 2008.
2008. How old are you?
I was 21 at the time. 21.
Now, where were you in your life that you decided that you know what? I'm going to join the Marines.
Yeah.
That's a good question. So actually,
only good questions on this
Yeah,
podcast.
of course. I was in community college at the time. Kind of just figuring shit out. And a couple of buddies of mine, they were like, "Hey, let's check out the Marines," And I was like, I don't know. I wasn't sure because I grew up in a very traditional family where you go to high school, you graduate high school, you go to 4-year college, you get your degree, and then you go straight into work, right? That's like the typical. I don't want to say like Asian.
I mean, you're Asian. You can say it.
Yeah. Okay, fine.
You're Asian. You can say
That's
it.
like the very typical path for like an Asian American, really.
Okay.
So, yeah, I wasn't sure what I wanted to do. I wasn't very good at school. I didn't really have that much discipline. And two of my buddies, they ended up, going to Marine Recruiter. And I happened to tag along with them and thought this would be a good experience to kind of gain some discipline, gain some direction in life, and try to do something different, right? Because not a lot of people get to, go through that type of rigorous training. There's only a very small percentage. Like, not everyone's called to do it, right?
What were you going to college for before you went to the recruiter?
So I actually was going to school for like graphic design.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Did you not find interest in it, or?
I found interest in it, but I figured, why would I just do graphic design? I can do graphic design and business, which kind of became like marketing, right?
Yeah.
So I ended up studying like business afterwards. So that's my degree. My degree's in business.
You studied, so let's backtrack a second, right? So you did graphic design, right? And then after graphic design, you went to the recruiter's office with your buddies, right? And then what did the recruiter tell you? Like, pretend that you're back in this whole stage of everything, because we're going to have people, or we might have kids that are 18 years old, right? That are watching this and might be considering going to the military. They don't know what to expect when they step in through the door to the recruiter's office, right? They don't know they're taking or they might know they're taking an ASVAB. They don't know about the physical training, right? We kind of want to get every little bit of detail. So we backtrack. You went with your friends to the recruiter. Where was the recruiter at?
So the recruiter was actually out in Shrewsbury, New Jersey.
Shrewsbury, New Jersey.
Yeah, so it was like around Red Bank. If you think about recruiters are pretty much the sales rep.
Yeah.
They're trying to bring you in because they have to meet a quota, right? I saw it more as an opportunity to do something different, to do, I guess, more of non-traditional path that most Asian Americans would go through,
Gotcha.
right? And honestly, it was the best decision that I've made because it's gotten me to where I am today in life,
Right.
right?
Well, did you prepare for the physicality of the Marines?
Oh,
Like,
yeah.
what kind of shape were you in prior?
So I was in relatively good shape. I used to play sports in high school. I kept up. I didn't really lift that much weights my first couple years in college, but you have to definitely run a lot. You have to run. You have to do pull-ups, a lot of pull-ups.
Were you able to do a lot of pull-ups prior to going in?
I probably had like, I don't know. I don't remember. It's like maybe I was able to do like 10.
Okay.
That's still pretty good. But,
Yeah.
but yeah, like you have to prepare like mentally, also physically. I actually, my one guy, he was overweight. He couldn't even get into boot camp because he was overweight. So he actually busted his ass. I think he lost like 20 pounds in 2 weeks just to make weight to get to boot camp. Yeah.
Almost like a cut
It's
for a
crazy.
UFC.
Yeah, that's a cut.
Dude, he
Yeah,
literally wore a sauna suit and sat in the sauna every day after like a workout, like just to cut water weight, just to
cut
make
water
weight
weight,
to,
yeah.
to even go down to boot camp.
That's wild.
Yeah. So they even have standards before you even go. Like you have to meet those standards, the prereqs. Obviously, you have to take the ASVAB. You have to pass that, and based off of your ASVAB score, you're eligible for certain jobs, right?
Right, which are called MOS.
MOS jobs, yes, military occupational specialty.
Are there also, if you're too skinny, like, but you know, on the opposite spectrum, like say you can't carry all that heavy equipment, like would that be another, you know, like you could be overweight and carry it, but then you can't also do like pull-ups and push-ups and all that.
Yeah.
But then is there maybe something on the opposite spectrum?
Yeah, so if you're too skinny and they feel like you're underweight, you'll still go. But
Okay,
while
they're
you're
gonna-
there, they'll give you double rations. They call you
Okay.
a double rat. So
Okay.
they'll give you more food to like bulk you
Oh,
up.
really?
Yeah, they're trying to
But
bulk
is
'em up.
that now? Is that more food during boot camp?
That's more food during boot camp.
Gotcha.
yes.
But now the recruiters. Let's touch base on the recruiters for a second, right? Because you said the recruiters are more of a salesman.
Correct.
But when I was going through the whole ASVAB for the military thing, right? The recruiter was also the guy that got you fit and ready for
Yes.
boot camp.
Yes. So once you decide to sign the contract, that's when the whole mentorship begins, right? Obviously, they first want to sell you on it,
Right.
and then you sign the contract. Then it's called a, we called it, man, I forget, pulleys. They call us pulleys, right? So this is like before you even make it down to boot camp. There's like maybe a couple months where, you know, they start kicking knowledge to you. They start teaching you like the rank structures, terminology, just to prepare you knowledge-wise and also mentally and physically to get you ready for that rigorous training. Because once you get down there, it's you're on your own pretty much.
Right. Right. So now I'm kind of leading this a little bit, right? So you took the ASVAB,
Yeah.
you passed.
Yes.
Do you remember what MOS you were able to pick from, like the list of MOSs, or did you kind of know right away what you wanted to get when you went in?
So it depends. Active duty, obviously. So there's like certain different routes for different types of people, right? You got active duty, which is pretty much full time. You have your reserves, which is, you know, once a month,
And
2
then
weeks
2 weeks out of the year, right?
2 weeks in the summertime, right? That's more of your part time.
Oh, in the summertime they do the 2 weeks.
Yeah, they do
I
the
didn't know
2
that.
weeks in the summertime. They call it annual training. So it really depends on where you are at that stage when you enlist, right? So for me, I knew I wanted to go to school. I want to stay in school. So for me, the reserves was the best route, right? For my other two friends, they were working full time already. They weren't sure what they wanted to do. They're, you know, kind of working dead end jobs, like paying minimal wage. So active duty for them was the best route of just kind of getting a career started,
Gotcha.
right? That's how I see things. Obviously, recruiters will try to meet. They have certain quotas they got to meet. There's like certain reservists they got to get. There's certain active duty members they got to get. But when people come to me and ask me like, "Oh, should I go active duty or reserves?" I was like, see where you're at now, and then determine what's your end goal. Like, are you trying to get out of your current situation? If that's the case, then go active duty because you can start fresh somewhere else, right? Or if you want to continue, if you have a good paying job already and you just want to serve, or if you're in school already and you want to serve because you want to serve the country, then I would suggest reservist is the best route for that type of person, right?
Does that determine on age though? Right? Because if you got an 18-year-old coming out of high school that has no idea what he wants to do, then maybe active duty would be better for him versus someone who's 29 who just wants that extra income, wants to be able to serve his country, but has an okay job that he's fine.
Yeah, I think that is a factor. I've seen 25-year-olds go active duty. I mean, the whole age range is, from 18. I've even had like a 32-year-old guy that was in my platoon during boot camp. He was a lawyer, and he wanted to be a JAG or judge advocate, right? So he was obviously in the reservist route. But yes, age does play a factor. Where you're currently at in life does play a factor in determining, which route most people will go or which route is best for you, for that person, right? But yeah, like as for the list of MOSs, active duty obviously has the full spectrum. You can go from infantry to intel to linguist, whatever, based off of ASVAB. Obviously, the higher score you get, the more technical job you are eligible for, right? And reserves, not so much. It kind of shrinks from there, right? So reserves is based off of what's available, what the units need, right? But also like that's the same case for active duty as well. So a lot of people that join, they want to go infantry because you're kicking in doors, you're blowing shit up, you're shooting people.
All the movies are off of that, so that's what people think.
So everyone wants to be infantry, like because that's like the most gung ho job you can get.
And each MOS had a certain number, right? So I know infantry was 0311, 0356, or 0365, 51. Yeah, I know there was a couple. Yeah.
So different jobs have different job codes. Obviously, infantry is 03s. All the 02s, 03, 02 would be a infantry officer. So anything that's your primary job number, and then there's an 02 after it, that would be an officer, right? But 0311's your rifleman. Then you have assaultman, which is 03. I think it's 51. I don't know. I'm not an 03, so I'm not sure, but I'm too smart for that.
That's shots fired to 0311s. So what was your MOS? After you took the ASVAB, you passed it. What MOS did you go for?
So I was a motor T operator. That would be an MOS of 3531. Basically a truck driver. Why I picked it was because I was into cars. So it was more aligned to my interest in my personal life.
It wasn't a mechanic. It was you just drove the cars.
I just drove. I was an operator, so I'd be on like the convoys, prepping for the convoys, making sure my truck is operating correctly, doing all the PMCS, preventative maintenance, and all that. Cargo, make sure that's all tied down. So you're responsible for that vehicle. Right. So that was my main responsibility.
Gotcha. So you choose that MOS, you're training, you get to boot camp, First day, how are you feeling?
Yeah. So first day.
First of all, where was boot camp? I know where it is, but for people who are not listening, where was it?
Boot camp. The one I went to was in Parris Island, South Carolina.
South Carolina. God.
The Marine Corps, their recruit training is actually broken up into West Side and West Coast and East Coast. So I believe it's still the same. I think it's like east of the Mississippi will go to Parris Island, South Carolina, and females will go there too. It's like, so female Marines will go to Parris Island. It doesn't matter where you are. If you're a female, that's where you're going. West Coast would be Mississippi River and west. So anyone from that on will go to San Diego, right next to Camp Pendleton. Yeah, so recruit training is 13 weeks. You train every day. There's no day off. First day I got there, I remember I flew into Savannah. Was it Savannah? I don't know. I flew into Georgia, somewhere in Georgia. And there was a bus waiting. You get on the bus, take that trip all the way up to Parris Island. Right before you get on base, you have to put your head down. The reason why they do that, because they don't want you knowing what it looks like going in and out. There's only one road going in and out anyways. So you go in, it's pitch dark. It's like freaking 1 o'clock in the morning, right? Everyone's tired. You go in, the bus stops at the main gates. That's where the double doors, the EGA double doors are. That's where all the processing happens. And then next thing you know, you have this DI just run onto the bus and starts yelling like, blah, blah, blah.
What's DI stand for those that don't know?
So the DI stands for drill instructors.
Okay.
So they're your primary instructors that train you.
The guys with the big hats that are like turned down.
They call them the Smoky Bear.
Yeah, the full metal, jacket.
The Smoky Bear hats.
Yeah.
That's their campaign covers, but we call them the Smoky
campaign
Bear.
covers?
Campaign covers.
I call those the oh shit hats.
Yes.
You know why? Because it's like, think of state troopers. If if you're driving and you get pulled over and you look in that rearview mirror and that person comes out with that fucking hat that's tilted, I go, first thing you look at is you look in the mirror, you go, oh shit. That's oh shit hat.
Yeah, it's intimidating when you look at it, but we'll go into detail about it. It's pretty much like a switch.
Yeah.
With a hat on, they're your drill instructors.
They're loud, right?
They're loud.
Yeah.
They're going to kick your ass if you don't listen to them.
No. They're in your face.
They're in your face all the time.
Making you uncomfortable, I'm guessing,
Right.
like to
Well,
really...
that's the whole point of yelling in your face, is to create stress, right? They want to see how you will handle...
You have to be able to handle
immense amount of stress, because when you go to combat and you have rounds flying over your head or next to you, that's a lot of stress.
Yeah.
Like, you need to be able to think clearly and calmly under stress. So a lot of the stuff that they do through recruit training or boot camp, there's a purpose for it. So like all that yelling in your face, spitting in your face, is to make you uncomfortable, right? And they're trying to teach you to be comfortable being uncomfortable, right?
Yep.
So when that time does come, when you're deployed, right, you'll be ready, right? Obviously, there's more to that. Like when you're going on a deployment, there's a whole many more training cycles you got to go through that, outside of recruit training.
Right.
But yeah, so it's a switch. They have the campaign hat on. They're your instructors, blah, 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 yelling in your face. And there's times where, my drill instructors would take off their hat, where they want to like be more down to earth and be serious, like as a mentor.
Gotcha.
Right. So when they take it off, it's going to be more of a mentorship. Like, okay, like he's got something deep to tell us, or some personal experiences that he's experienced that he wants to share. Right. Bring knowledge to us.
The yelling is not, he's not as aggressive when the hat comes off.
When the hat comes off is more like
teacher.
I'm your teacher, your mentor. When the hat comes on, I'm your discipline.
I'm your daddy.
Yeah, I'm your daddy.
Is
I'm gonna
there
discipline your ass.
is there one thing that stands out to you that when that DI drill instructor took his hat off and was more of a mentor to you that sticks out to you?
Yeah, absolutely. They're human. It's humanizing, like they're just like us. It's my DI mentioned to me, like, don't take any of this personally. This yelling stuff, don't take it personally, because it's just business. That's just how it is,
Yeah.
right? Quite frankly, like, I'm actually friends with my drill instructors on Facebook. So yeah.
If you guys are watching, thank you for building such a nice guy, but a
Yeah.
strong-minded gentleman.
Yeah.
So, all right, so let's backtrack, rewind a little bit. You're on the bus, you got your head down, you go through the pearly gates, door opens up. This guy comes in with the oh shit hat. What happens? How you feeling? What's going on?
Yeah, so they start screaming at you on the bus to get the fuck off, right?
Yeah.
So you gotta, they tell you to, like, scream, like, you gotta fucking scream.
Yeah,
And you're
yeah.
like, yes sir, I sir. It's like, I sir. If you say it wrong, like, they yell at you for even saying it wrong, right?
Yeah.
So the first time you get off the bus, there's what we call yellow footprints. So you're standing on those yellow footprints, pretty much in a platoon. You're already, like, lined up in a platoon, right? And then you kind of file off into the double doors. And that's where processing happens. You get your hair cut. And that's the first thing you get is
The
your
famous haircut.
The famous
the
haircut.
famous
Famous
haircut,
straight.
yeah.
What is it? A one?
It's probably almost,
Or like a
probably
half.
1 or a 0. I
Oh
don't know, but
my gosh!
You wouldn't be
Not
able to
my
handle
hair.
that, Jay. You
Not
wouldn't be able
my
to handle
hair.
that.
My hairline's already that fucked up.
yeah, but
Imagine.
know-
My hair.
you know how I say, like, there's a purpose to everything that they do? There's a purpose for that. There's actually 2. One is hygiene is because you never know who has, like, lice and shit. So, like, cutting all your hair off will, kind of
Prevent it from spreading.
like, from, yeah, exactly. So hygiene is one, and also the mental side, which is your individuality, right?
Taking it away from you?
Well, yes, they're taking away your individuality, because everyone comes in with a different haircut, different style.
Right.
But when they buzz it all off, you look all the same.
Yeah.
So right from the beginning, they ingrain a teamwork mentality. You're no longer an individual anymore. Moving forward, you are part of a team, and you're going to work together as a team, right? So just that small thing
Yeah.
is a big mental change when it comes from, I may like punk rock, or I studied business, or I like cars, I like this, I like that. Like that
Yeah.
that defines you as an individual, right?
Right.
Your likes, but your style, right? Your hair is your personality, your style. When they take that away, you're no longer that person. You're a part of a team now. You got to work together.
Could it also be, and I don't know if this would be considered that, but I almost could think it could be a distraction almost. Like, you're being called in the morning, 5 a.m. to wake up or whatever time it is. It's like, oh, I want to do my hair. It's like, no, you got no hair, so fucking go. You know?
Exactly. It's also like the ease. Everything's so quick. Your
Yeah.
showers are 3 minutes. Everything is so quick. There's no time to shampoo and do that. It's all like very quick. Shampoo it, quick rinse. You're done. That's it.
Yep.
So the DIs, they're tough, they're aggressive, right? But then you also have, from what I know, civilian employees, right, that work there, right? How was your interaction with the civilian employees that work?
So the civilian employees, you would treat them as if you'll treat them as
As if they were part of the military.
Yeah, as if they're part
Yes,
of the military.
ma'am. Yes, sir.
Yes,
Gotcha.
ma'am. Yes, sir. Like you'll talk to them just like that.
Okay.
You won't bullshit with them. There's none of that, and they know that too. They know that you're a recruit, and you're not here to make friends. You're trained, right?
Gotcha.
So the same respect that I give to a drill instructor or any person part of the military is also given to a civilian. You're kind of like below a civilian. You're a recruit, so you're not even human at that point.
They're trying
like
to set it straight
yeah.
that like, hey, like you're nothing right now, and we're gonna build you up into something almost.
Right. You're
Yeah.
a peasant at this point.
You're like lower than a civilian. I don't even know
Gotcha.
what that is. Is that like
Gotcha.
You're a recruit.
Yeah, you're a recruit.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you're
you're just
a
yeah,
recruit,
you're
like-
not even a teenager yet.
Yeah, you're
Right.
back to baby style.
Right,
Yeah,
right.
exactly.
Okay. You're not even legal, basically.
correct?
So now you went through boot camp, right? I do this every time.
He can't ever.
Sorry. So now you went through boot camp. Okay. To you, what was the hardest part about boot camp?
I wouldn't say boot camp was hard. It was challenging.
But it wasn't hard, it was challenging.
It was challenging. Yeah, it was definitely one of the harder things that I've done in my life so far. And I think for me, the hardest part was a lot of it was like the hikes, you know? A lot of it was, we do these things called ruck marches.
Ruck marches.
Ruck marches, or we call them humps. Hump. So you start off with a 3-mile hump or 3-mile ruck march, and then you go up to a 5-mile ruck march, and then a 7.5-mile ruck march, and then you have a 9-mile ruck march, and then in the end, the very last one is about 12 miles.
12
12
miles.
miles.
Are you doing that with gear on or just
You're doing
by...
that with a 100-pound pack
Oh,
and a rifle.
I do a walk with a
Yeah.
30, 40-pound weighted vest. 100-pound with a rifle? Jeez.
Bro, I walk with my keys in my pocket and I'm like, this jacket's heavy.
My pants falling.
What?
Yeah, dude. I'm telling you, man. It's
Even
not.
with my pistol on my pants, I'm still
Yeah.
walking around like, this
Yeah.
is heavy.
12 miles. So the final one was 12 miles.
12 miles was the final one I had to do.
Talk about that a little bit.
Yeah, so
This is at the end. What week is this?
this would probably be week 12, I would say week 12. So you have one more week before your graduation.
So 13 weeks total.
13 weeks total.
So now you did 12 miles. Was it 6 and 6, or was it 12 and then you got driven back? Or was it 12 there and then 12 back?
It was 12 there and 12 back.
That
So 24.
sucks.
So 24 miles.
What? So each
Yeah, each way was 12 miles.
So all right. So each hike you did, the total was double the amount you had to do.
And that's how they build you up, right? Is they start off small with a 3-mile ruck march.
Yeah.
But
and
that's
then-
actually 6.
6.
3
No,
miles.
3 miles total.
Oh, so it's 1.5, 1.5.
Yeah.
Oh,
Okay, so was the 12 then 6 and 6?
Or was the 12 and 12? What was it?
It's 12 and 12, I believe.
For the final one.
Yeah, it's 12 and 12.
I mean, 12 and 12 makes sense for Marines, right?
Yeah.
Versus 6 and 6. They would probably beat you just to get to 12 miles.
yeah, it was a long ass hike.
Man, that's
It was a long ass ruck march. Obviously, you have like rest periods. You'll take your gear off.
How many days was it?
So the last part, if we're talking about the last hike, we call it the crucible. That's the last test that a recruit goes through before they earn their Eagle Globe and Anchor and officially become a Marine.
Is that the little black medallion that they give you?
Yeah, it's a black little EGA. It's the emblem. We call it the emblem ceremony. So that happens right after you finish your hike.
How are your DIs during this?
So
Because I hear gradually they dumb down.
Yeah, so let me backtrack a little bit. So we break recruit training up into 3 phases. The first phase is you're tearing your individuality down, and then phase 2 is where you start building. You're building the character, instilling the values, the core values, into that person, and then the third phase is more of a mentorship, and kind of they're more of a mentor or like a teacher, right? So break you down, build you up into a Marine. Now that you're almost there, that's when they start mentoring you, giving that, I guess, more of a teamwork aspect of training, right? Learning to rely on your guys, understanding the core values, living by the core values.
So how's the yelling in your face
It's not
at this
as
point?
much. It's not as much. In third phase, it's not as much as it was in first phase.
So they're more supportive then.
They're more of a like,
Or
yeah, they're more of like
just a
your
team
teacher.
leader?
Yeah, team leader, mentor. But yeah, so by the time you get to the Crucible, they're already not in your face as much. They're more kind of like they're already like senior NCOs, staff sergeants, they're NCOs, non-commissioned officers, right? So they already have that leadership. They're in that leadership capacity. So they're more of like being that NCO. They're kind of, taking you under your wing, under their wing, and just kind of guiding you. Obviously, it's like 93 guys, 63 guys actually, because we lost like 30 people throughout the phases.
How did you lose them? Because I heard once you sign up, I mean, you really can't leave, can you?
So they recycle them. So if you can't pass a certain thing, you get recycled to the next group.
So you pretty much, it's like if you can't pass grades in like second grade, you stay in
get
second
held back.
grade or
Right. So for example, there's a swimming qualification you got to go through, right? And if you fail swim qual, you get removed from that current platoon, because that current platoon is going to continue on with the training.
Yeah.
So you get dropped.
No matter how
into-
many people move
Correct,
forward, if you
correct.
just stay, then you're going
If
to
you
stay
fail
there.
a certain event, you get dropped, and then the next platoon that comes along to where you're at picks you up, and then you join their platoon. And then if you fail again, you get dropped again.
So is there a max amount of failures that you can have? That they're like, after 3, it's like you're shit out. Yeah, you're done.
Yeah, we're taking you home.
Yeah, good question. I'm not too sure. I think there is a finite amount,
But it's not often, probably.
it's
I
not
feel like if you
often.
can't be a Marine, you can't be a Marine.
Yeah.
Like you could beat around the bush all you want. If you just can't do a certain thing, you just can't
Yeah.
do it.
Yeah, it's just not for
Why
you.
would they even have you if you can't do it?
And I feel like that would also probably happen before you even got to boot camp. Like that person in the beginning that was vetting you and preparing you would be like, hey, you know what? Like you're probably not cut out for this.
Yeah, but remember they were salesmen, right?
Yeah,
So
they
would
want you
probably
to get into the-
they would
Yeah.
let you
want
in
you there.
regardless and let the DIs deal with you afterwards, right?
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
then their numbers go down as
But what
recruiters.
if that recruiter is giving constant bad eggs and then they're like, you know what? Maybe you're out of a job as a recruiter because you're not giving us quality crop.
Yeah, that I would agree with that would make sense. But at the same time, we're talking about the military where numbers matter.
Yeah. And I'm not disagreeing with you. I'm just,
Yeah.
I'm like thinking, if I'm a recruiter,
Quality
like,
over quantity.
yeah, like, I want to
right.
give like the
Right.
best, the best
Yeah.
candidates into.
Yeah, no doubt. And at the time where I joined, we were in the middle of the Iraq War, Afghanistan War.
Yeah.
So they need numbers. So you had waivers for everything. You had
Gotcha.
age waivers. Like I mentioned, we had a 32-year-old guy. That's way too old, but we needed people. So they provide a waiver that, you got a tattoo on your neck, waiver. Oh, you got a criminal record, waiver for that.
Did they used to pick on people with the tattoos, the DIs, or no? First of all, was there any hazing in your boot camp?
Ooh, that's a good one.
Illegal hazing, no. But we call them incentive training. That's how they call it.
They did it like pepper spray where you had to do something, or was
No,
that?
I was gonna bring that up.
Because you see a lot of that where
They spray and you got to put your hands out and say
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
your
and,
social
but then you also
security
have to
number or something
wrestle
like that.
someone, and no, but have you seen that where it's like
Yeah.
you have a full like 4 or 5 stations that you gotta beat someone down or something,
Yeah, I
tackle
think the guy has
someone.
like a bodysuit or something like
yeah,
that, right?
Yeah,
like
so
the whole
that's-
line gets sprayed.
So the CS spray that's when you join once you get into the fleet or at your actual unit, that's when they start doing the CS spray. But we went through a CS gas chamber.
That
Oh,
I know,
what-
right? Where you
what is
put-
that?
Gas chamber.
I know what it is, but I want you to explain what it is.
Yeah,
I
so-
think I know what it is. But go ahead.
So the gas chamber is pretty much trying to give you an experience of chemical warfare, kind of.
Okay.
So yeah, if I remember, like they give you a gas mask. Obviously, you practice without being in the chamber itself. You practice breaking the seal, and then you gotta hold your breath. First you gotta take a deep breath, break the seal, let all the gas fill the mask, reseal it, and then you gotta push this button in the gas mask and breathe out, which pushes all the air out.
So is it
the
almost to
mask.
simulate you having been affected by the gas, then grabbing your mask,
Yes,
and then
yes.
having your face feel affected by what's going on, but then
Correct,
now you're
correct.
good, but you still have to make your way through.
So it's
it.
like if there was a chemical warfare and your face, you got CS gas on your face. They want to simulate. All right, you've already been affected by the gas,
but
now
you're
you gotta
gonna
put
you're
your
gonna
mask
survive
on.
now because
Yeah, you're scrambling to put on your gas mask, and then once you seal it and you breathe out, you clear it, then you should be good to go. Obviously, it doesn't happen like that all the time, right?
Yeah.
Right.
So at the time, I had a cough when I did the gas chamber.
so that
So I had a cough.
that
Fuck.
affected you even more then.
So when I broke the seal and I held my breath, I ended up coughing with the seal open and then breathing in all this CS gas.
my
I started
Oh.
like choking. It was almost like it was like little like glass, almost like little fiber, like fiberglass.
Ooh,
Yeah, yeah,
okay,
I'm,
yeah.
like
Oh.
breathing all that in.
Yeah, that'd be terrible.
And then,
Imagine.
oh,
Yeah.
dude, it was terrible. Like, I was dying. They like once it was only for like 15 seconds that you're in there. Like,
Yeah.
You're only in there for like 10 to 15 seconds, and then
Yeah.
they push you out. Once I got out, took it off. Like I was like coughing. My eyes were like burning. My neck was burning because it affects your skin also.
Yeah.
Mm.
Right? So your neck is burning.
That's crazy.
There's like there's like snot everywhere,
Yeah.
dude. It's like literally like just snot just running down my face.
Dude, they yell. I believe they yell gas, gas, gas.
Yeah,
Right?
yeah. You go in, gas, gas, gas. You hold in your breath. You pop the seal. Like five seconds. Seal it up, and then you breathe out. Right. If you do it correctly, should be pretty quick, easy.
Right.
But people because it's such a crazy environment, like a uncomfortable environment. People panic. So they start panicking when they start feeling the gas on their skin, affecting their skin. Their eyes are burning. And you start panicking and they start breathing, right? So that's when it hits you the most, is when you're breathing all that gas.
Gotcha.
It's
It's intense.
intense.
It's worse than pepper spray.
It's I don't know. I never actually got pepper sprayed, but
Gotcha.
it's pretty bad. Like it
Did you ever get tased?
sucks. I've not gotten tased.
You have not gotten tased.
Where was the chamber in terms of like week wise? Because you made a good point how it's like they purposely are trying to make you uncomfortable. So was this
Yeah,
in the
yeah, yeah.
beginning stages? So you were, for the most part, very uncomfortable, or were you kind of getting used to that uncomfortable feeling and felt
Mm-hmm.
pretty in control and you were able to confidently work your way through that?
Yeah, so that's actually in the first phase when you go.
Oh,
to
so
gas
you're-
chamber.
yeah,
So
okay.
a lot of it, like the swim qual, was first phase. Like we had a lot of people that were very uncomfortable swimming because
Really?
they never grew up swimming. So we call them iron ducks. When you go in, they start
just sink.
sinking. They just start sinking.
That's me.
You don't know how to swim?
I drown in the shower.
Yeah.
Oh man,
Yeah, I'm like, huh, help.
no bathtub for you.
No bathtub
Yeah,
for me.
so like swim qual was a challenge for some. I grew up swimming, so I
Yeah.
swam a lot. I took lifeguarding classes and all that, so I was a pretty good swimmer.
Was it just swimming, or was it like you had to like I think it's only in the navies maybe that's where you have to like go down, sink yourself, like release all the water, and then come up.
I think it's the Navy SEALs.
Is that only the SEAls? Okay.
Yeah, buzz training will do that.
Oh, okay.
They'll tie your hand behind
Yeah,
your back
yeah.
and your legs, and you have to like kind of bob up
Yep.
and down, get some air, come back down, right?
Yeah, that's
So
wild.
this was just kind of like just getting laps
Yeah,
in
for
almost.
us is more like just floating,
Oh, okay.
right? What's crazy is like the uniform that they give you. There's a way to build like they teach you to use that as a life preserve. So if you don't have, a life preserve or like a little life ring, you can actually blow up your uniform. Like you just got to button it a certain way, and then they tell you to like blow in it, and when you blow it in, it balloons up almost like a life
Yo,
vest.
I didn't
It's
know
crazy.
that. That's
pretty
awesome.
cool.
crazy.
Yeah.
So it'll be like a built-in
Yeah.
life vest.
That's
That's
wild.
pretty wild. That's why
Yeah.
those
Yeah.
uniforms are thick and heavy.
Yeah, they're
Yeah.
maybe like they're in like the sleeving, or like that little piping area of a shirt.
That's pretty freaking cool.
So you'll do all this. You're gonna start breathing in, and it balloons up, and then you can just lay there for like, 5 minutes. And
Yeah.
you're good. They
That's pretty
time
cool.
it as long as you get like 4 or 5 minutes.
Of
You're
just
solid.
floating
Just
on your back.
floating, you pretty much pass like qual 1, and there's just like different levels of qual. It depends on your MOS, right? So
Right.
like certain MOSs require swim qual 1, which is you have to have full gear on. So you have a vest, you have pack, rifle, and you jump in. And those who have those MOSs will go through that swim qual. My job didn't require that. So I just did swim qual, the most basic one. I was good,
Yeah.
right?
That's pretty cool. So now let's touch back. You did the 12-mile hike. You're done. It's graduation. How do you feel?
On top of the world, bro. You feel like you're invincible. Yeah, it's because you just completed 13 weeks of one of the most hardest military training in the world, right? Your confidence is at its all-time high because, oh shit, I did that. Like, fuck, like I earned the title, right? And then, yeah, you're really gung ho about it. Like your family comes visit you. They have a family day like the day before graduation. So all your family comes on base. You get to give them a tour.
You used to be able to write home, right?
Yeah. My only communication to my family and friends were through letters. No cell phone, nothing, no technology. It was just letters. And then every night before you go to bed, they'll have like, they call it mail call. So like they'll just read off of, oh, hey, recruit Woo, you got a letter. And they just threw it at you. Like, here you go. Nasty. Here you go.
It's true story. I dated a girl in, I forget what year it was. I want to say it's 2017, 2018. I mean, 2008, 2009. Yeah, like 2007, 2008. She joined the military. And I remember her telling, she was a Marine.
Yeah.
And I remember her when she was in boot camp, she used to write me letters at home. And I used to write letters back to her. Yeah, I remember that. That's pretty wild.
Yeah, man. We go old school. I don't know how it is now,
Yeah.
but when I was going
I don't think it's
through
text messages. I
it
think
was
it's
just, it was just letters,
Well,
bro.
what was that like? You're laying on bed, I'm guessing, and then they're bringing that mail around. What was that feeling that you got when you heard your name called? Because I feel like if you're alone, like obviously you have your brothers or whoever
Yeah.
you're with,
Yeah,
sisters
yeah.
or whatever, on your team, but to know that your family put in the effort to like reach back out to you and write something that was there a certain feeling that came to mind?
Yeah, absolutely. I remember getting letters from friends and my family, my parents. I'll be on the bed just reading it, and you just kind of wonder like you just miss them so much, right?
Yeah.
And just getting a letter from them, it's almost like opening up a Christmas present, right? And to know that there are people out there that are encouraging you, supporting you, that care about your journey, that's something that actually like carries you through the training,
Yeah.
right? Yeah, you're correct. I mean, you have your brothers that are with you, but also like that's not enough.
No.
That's not enough.
I feel like if I was in that
know?
and I got a letter from my family, like that would just make my night and like just push me that much harder
Yeah.
in my training and all that.
For sure. And till this day, I still have all the letters
Wow.
that I wrote that I got.
Yeah.
I have them in a plastic bag. Yeah, I still keep them.
So now, when we in military, we can compare this to life itself, right? When we're going through the hardest moments in our life, right? The most difficult challenges, the trials and the tribulations through life, you find a certain people in your life that you not only click with, not only relate with, but kind of latch on to, because you need that support at that moment to be able to push you past the things that you're going through. Did you find that person or group of people in your platoon during boot camp that you were like, you know what, I'm in this shit, but I'm in this shit with this person, or I'm in this shit with this group of people, and we're gonna fucking get through it? Like, did you find that camaraderie with the people you were with?
Yeah. Yeah. We grew very, very close. Almost like a band of brothers. I don't know if you ever watched that show, but it's pretty much you're going through the hardships together. Like these guys, I know 100% if we went to war, like they'll watch my six, right? I can trust them with my life. That's how close we've gotten. Even with the guys that I served with at my unit, like we were pretty close. I'm still friends with them till this day. We still talk once in a while. But it's that relationship you build, that brotherhood. And I know if shit goes down, they got my back. If we ever deployed, I know they'll always watch my six, and I'll watch their six, right? It's that trust that you build through the hardships, all that. It's hard to explain because it's that brotherhood, that bond, right? Through trials and tribulations. That's where like true brotherhood is built, right?
I mean, you guys are going through something that no one else is going through on the outside of the world. So, you're going to bond with those people because it's like you're going through hell, and
Yeah, and that's what bonds us, is that no matter, we come from all different parts of the United States. We listen to different music. We have different hobbies. We're different ethnicities. We come from different backgrounds. But in the end, what bonds us is this experience, right?
Right. It reminds me of the saying that it's not the journey you're going through. It's not the end result you're trying to get. It's the people that you are with while you're going through it.
Right.
And the people that you meet at the time that you are in your most vulnerable, traumatic state are the ones that will always forever leave the mark of well-being, the mark of I can get through this, the mark of support, the mark of love, the mark of you know what, no matter what it is that I am going through, no matter what it is that we are going through, we're going to get that shit together.
Yeah.
It's a bond that can't be broken, which is very similar to when you're looking for a relationship in life, you're looking for that someone that you can go through life together with, someone you can go through the walls with, someone that you can go through the trenches with, that no matter how bad shit gets,
Right.
it's me and you versus the world. And that's kind of what the military tries to teach you a little bit, right?
Quitting is not an option. Quitting is not an option.
Right.
You know, there are times where you want to quit, but that person, that brother that you're with will not allow you to quit. Right. And again, like with relationships, right? There may be times where you're going through some really hard times and you want to quit, but that person is telling you, hey, you're not allowed to quit. We're gonna go through this together, and we're gonna pull through it, because quitting is not an option. Like, that's someone that you want, right? That's someone that you want to be with. You know, once you quit, it's done. It's game over.
It's game over.
Yeah.
Right. And you got to try to hope that the other person picks up the slack when you quit, you know, to try to push you further. But once you're mentally out of it, you're out of it.
You're done.
Yeah. You know, it's very hard to pull you back from the saying goes, you don't drown by floating in water, right? You don't drown by staying underwater. You drown because you chose to stay underwater.
Yeah.
You know, and that's kind of how it is with the military. They teach you, like, yo, you're in the shit. You're deep underwater. You have to get yourself out. And when you get yourself out, you got to pull someone else out with you.
Right.
That's that teamwork that they try to build with you.
Correct.
Right. So you finish boot camp, right?
Yep.
You get all that done. Now, it's at the end. You graduated. Cody has a question for you.
So my question to you, Sam, is between boot camp, serving, and everything, what is something that you took, or a couple things that you took, that has led and stayed in your like current life or everyday life?
Yeah. So the core values, the Marines' core values, what honor, courage, commitment, right? Honor, courage, and commitment. That actually stayed with me ever since I left, you know, the Marines and even the military in general. Like, I live my life pretty much with those values, right? Honor is being honest with somebody, doing the right thing, right? Courage, obviously having the courage to do the right thing. And commitment is being fully committed through the beginning to the end of something that you said you were going to do. Being a man of your word. I try to do that throughout my whole life. I live by that. But, you know, resilience is another thing that I've taken from it. Just never really given up. Even if like things look terrible, like your life feels like is going on a downturn. You know, I just got out of a marriage, and it's one of the worst times of my life. But I know that I have to push through it. I got to keep pushing forward. I got to keep moving forward.
Yeah.
Resilience, perseverance, discipline is another big one. You know, a lot of those things I learned and gained through my military experience. A lot of them were instilled in me from the military.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, into current day, you now have your own company, Carbon Fanatics. What made you start that company, and tell us a little bit about that? Because you mentioned cars.
Yeah. So
first is, what is Carbon Fanatics?
So Carbon Fanatics is it's a custom styling using carbon fiber. It's pretty much like overlay, and you'll just give me your part, and I'll you know, style it to your desire, right? I enjoy doing it. It honestly started out as a hobby. I did it for myself, actually. There was a part that I wanted. I wish it was in carbon fiber. I couldn't find it, so I was like, you know what? Let me see if I can, you know, do an overlay to make it look like carbon fiber, right, with real carbon fiber fabric. I started that doing it in my basement, did a couple parts, and it was really just for me, right? And then I think a couple friends saw it. They wanted some stuff done. And then ever since then, it was just kind of, all right, well, maybe I could start doing this on the side. And COVID hit. And I was like, you know what? Now I'm working from home, right? I got a lot of time afterwards. I can use my commute time to make some extra cash on the side. So that's how it all really officially began. Originally, it was just kind of making parts for my own car, and just kind of bringing them to shows and be like, okay, this is like a one-off, like custom-made part. But over time, just became something I really enjoyed doing. I find a lot of, I would say, a lot of enjoyment seeing the overall product once it's done, and satisfaction, right? It's a lot of work, a lot of hard work, but that's what it's all about. It's putting in the time, the grind, having the discipline to just wake up early, go downstairs, grind out some parts, come back up, go to the gym, after work, go back downstairs, grind some parts out, and call it a day. 9-10 o'clock at night, I'm done. But it's been a long journey. It's not easy. But a lot of it comes from just keeping my head down, focusing on what needs to get done, right? And obviously you have to really enjoy doing it, and that's what I really see a lot of my work. When I see them at shows, it's like, oh shit, I did that. That's fucking awesome.
It must be a surreal moment when it's like, you've worked on these pieces, but then you see your actual client put them on, and then you see it on the car at the show. That's a surreal moment. Like, that's my, like, 'cause for the most part, we go to shows with like, oh, that's, Volk raised wheels, or, oh, that's, APR, a carbon fiber wing. It's like, no, that's Carbon Fanatics piece right there. Like, that must be a surreal, awesome moment.
Yeah. And just to see it in person is like, it just blows your mind. It's like, oh shit, like I did that. Like it looks really good.
Yeah.
And it's art. It's literally an artwork for me.
Yeah. And people don't realize how long it takes. They just see, an exchange of money of some sort, then they get the piece, when in fact that's, a whole 24 hours possibly, that, depending on the size
Probably
of that
a
piece.
lot more than that.
Depending on the piece. Like, it could be a door handle cover, or, it could be a whole interior dash that you could have done,
Yeah, and you have done SEMA vehicles.
Yeah, I've done 2 SEMA vehicles actually. I've done a RSX, a blue one that went last year to SEMA.
That's mine.
That's Jay's.
That's right.
And also did Martin's IS300 wagon that went to SEMA as well. So those are just some of the milestones. This is really cool to know that the cars that I worked on gotten to that level. Like the biggest car show in North America.
In the world.
Yeah, in the world.
Yeah, SEMA's the biggest one in the world. Yeah, and that's that. I got so many compliments on the carbon fiber work at SEMA, and I put your logo on the back window, which was pretty
that's
cool.
Dope. That's
But
awesome, man.
To touch base back on Cody's question, how has the military helped push you to do the business?
I don't know if it really pushed me to do the business.
Did it motivate you? Did it keep you disciplined? Does it?
Yeah, I would say like discipline will be more of the factor that I took from the military that has to be part of like my business now was discipline. The
resilience. I think that one, the resilience, because
perseverance was another one. It's like, oh, fuck, like I don't know if I can finish this. Well, I'm gonna push it out anyways.
Kind of have to.
I'm gonna get it finished, right? Like I mentioned, like there's quitting is not an option. Like you gotta, once you say, you try to make the deadline the best you can. Again, this is like a side business for me. So obviously my primary job takes priority, my primary career. But, like most people, like they'll go to work, they'll come home and they're tired, they're done. Like for me, it's more, I have to keep going, right? I have to keep pushing. If I really want this business to grow, bring in more clients, and do more crazy projects like this bumper I'm working on right now. It's pretty crazy. It's tough. It's tough.
Yeah.
It's a challenge, but I'm not afraid of a challenge. Like I'll take it on. Will it take longer to finish? Yeah, absolutely. But that's because I've never done it before, so I got to plan it out a little bit more.
Yeah, well, you never did boot camp or the military before either, and you did it anyways, right?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
pressure makes diamonds.
Yeah, correct.
And that bumper is something, like you said, that's not new. So you're going to grow from that experience, and then from that point on, bumpers will be a little bit easier. Each bumper is different on its own, but that size of a project will become more used to and, more comfortable with.
It's pretty crazy. Like when people come to me, they're like, "Oh, can you do this door?" I'll be like, "Oh, I don't know. I've never done anything that large, But then I was like, you know what? Fuck it. All right, let's do it. So I do it.
Yeah.
I finish it. Oh, it's not that bad, work wise.
Right.
And the next person that comes in be like, "Oh, I want the doors too." Like, all right, fuck it.
Yeah.
Let's do it.
You've done it already.
So it's kind of like that. It's like, you build the experience. Now I've done doors, I've done trunks, I've done hoods, I've done forged carbon, I've done Kevlar,
Right.
I've done 4K, 4x4 weave, right?
Right.
Now I've done a bumper,
Right.
I've done a roof, I've done my roof on the IS.
Right.
Like the first time is always going to be scary because you don't know, what the challenge is going to be, like how difficult it's going to be. But that's where growth comes in, right? Like you have to take on those challenges, experience it, and then that's how you grow from it. That's how once you gain the experience, it becomes easier. The next bumper will be easier than the first one.
Yep.
Right.
Right.
And I think that kind of can go into life almost, right? Like the first time of anything is always the scariest, but once you experience it, can you make mistakes? Yeah, I mean, dude, like I made mistakes on, bumpers, well, not bumpers, but like fenders. I've done mistakes, but you find ways to improve your technique. You build on that. I guess you continue to learn.
Yeah,
right? You want to continue to learn.
It's like that in almost every facet of life. It's like your first day at the gym. You're scared to lift and do certain exercises.
Right.
The first time that you're doing a bench, it's like you don't know if you're doing it the right way. You're scared to lift the weight. But after a couple months, you start getting used to it. Your first relationship, you're nervous about certain things. You don't know how to move certain ways. But after, a couple relationships, you know certain tendencies, how to become a better partner and all that.
Right,
So it's 100,
right.
100% that it's the first time that you do anything in life, it's going to be scary. But after that, like you said, you've got the ball rolling and it's just going to get easier.
Right. And you learn, you'll make mistakes. Obviously, we all make mistakes. We're all human, right? You make a mistake, you learn from it. And then the next one you work on, you improve on the technique, you improve on it, and just better results. And then that cycle just continues and continues until you become a perfectionist almost.
Yeah.
Right. So during our podcast, we came up with something called Cody's Quotes. So I think it's time for a Cody's Quotes.
All right.
You got to give us a dance off. You ready?
Dance off.
And go. Hey, it's Cody's Quotes.
That's
Cody's quotes.
It's Cody's Quotes.
Cody's quotes.
It's on a note. Damn.
All right.
There we go.
That was solid. That was solid.
That's cool. That's cool.
All right. Here
You
we
look
go.
like you were doing like what's
I
his
don't know
name?
what I was doing, bro.
Was the inflatable guys that are outside the
man,
dealership?
Inflatable tube,
man.
All right. Here we go. Ready for this? Discipline is the soul of an army. It makes small numbers formidable procures success to the weak and esteem to all. That
So
was
true.
a letter from George Washington to the captains in the Virginia Regiment.
Wow.
Yeah.
How do you? I'll touch base on what I think that means, right? And then you tell me if you agree or if you think something else, right? So read the second part. It says, what it said about discipline?
So it goes, discipline is the soul of an army.
Right. So let's pause there for a second. Let's kind of break it down, right?
Yeah.
Discipline is the soul of an army. In order, and we'll talk about, I'll relate this to life, right? I get up every day and I do what it is that needs to be done, right? I don't question it. I don't worry about it. I say, you know what? I get up. I got to do what I got to do. I don't have the motivation to do it, right? I don't wake up in the morning and say, let me beat myself up in the gym. I sit down and say, it's discipline. And we've had this episode before about it, where discipline builds character, not motivation.
No.
And when you are disciplined around a bunch of people that have the same discipline as you guys can now work together to help push each other during that disciplinary action.
Yeah.
Right? Does that, you agree with that?
Yeah, I totally agree with that. I think, from a military perspective, discipline is, you have to obey all orders, right?
Even if they're your own orders.
Right. Well, it has to be lawful orders, right? You have the power to, if you feel like it's not right, that's where the courage comes from, right? Courage to do the right thing, right? I feel like if an order is unlawful, you can choose to not go through with it. I mean, you'll get disciplined for it, obviously, but obeying orders is discipline, right? That's why it's the heart of the army, right? Because without obeying orders from your commanders, you have no army.
Right. And you went from Marines to Army.
Yeah.
And you retired, right, as an Army veteran.
I wouldn't say I retired. I got out. I think you have to hit 20 years to retire.
Okay.
I finished my career at 11 years. I mean, it's still a long time.
Right. How many years Marine? How many years Army?
6 years Marine and 5 in the Army.
Now, you did Marine Reserves and Army Reserves.
Army Guard, yeah.
Army Guard. So why not stay Marine Reserves?
It's the Marines, it's very, their culture is very I don't want to say like anything bad, but it's very
Gung ho.
very gung ho and uptight. Like
Gotcha.
like they're very structured, right? The culture is very structured. There's no
Wiggle room.
I guess like if you want to, when you talk about military, when you think about the way it should be, I would say it would be more the Marine Corps. Like when it's like, okay, when someone of a higher rank gives you an order, you obey it, right? And then you have the officers, you don't really talk to them as much because they're doing their own shit, right? They're playing around with their Nintendo and in their offices and stuff. Who knows, right? The Army is different. The Army is more of like a corporation, if you think about it, right? You have the higher ranks, but they're willing to come in and build rapport with the junior enlisted or the enlisted folks. So that's where the different, I mean, culturally, I would say that's how it is. Army is more of like a corporation where you can talk to the higher ups. If you have issues, you can go to them. I'm not saying you can't do that in the Marine Corps, but it's more, it gives me more of a corporate vibe.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha. So you mean more like Army, everybody's kind of in it together no matter what ranking you are?
Yeah, yeah,
And Marine is
right.
like, well, this is my rank. You have to go through this and this and
Kind
this to
of.
get to me?
Well, that's my experience at least.
Right, 'cause not everybody has the same
other
experience.
people's experiences in the Marine Corps or with different units can be different, but at least my experience, that was the way it was. It was very strict. There was a very clear chain of command. I'm not saying there isn't in the Army National Guard, but yeah, you won't see a E4, you know, talking to a E7. Stands for enlisted, and then the number
right.
4 and 7 is like the rank.
Right.
I'll say like you won't see a corporal will not be talking to a gunnery sergeant like, "Oh, hey Gunny, like what's up, man? How are you? Like how you doing?" Right?
Right.
Like in the Army, you can kind of see that a little bit more, but obviously there's always that respect of the higher rank. You'll always respect a higher rank, right? You always respect the rank.
Yeah. And in Army, you still respect the higher rank, but you
but
just
it's
have a little more
you have-
leniency.
you have more of a, I don't know how to explain it. It's kind of like a open door policy.
That's probably the best way.
Yeah.
I guess
It's an
you
open
said-
door
yes,
policy.
or open door policy.
It doesn't matter. You don't have to go through a chain command all
yeah.
the time. If you need to go straight ahead to somebody, you could
Obviously, you
kind of go
should let your chain of command know, like whoever's your sergeant, be like, "Hey, sergeant, I gotta go talk to this, sergeant first class about something." Like, okay, what is it about? Like, it's about this. Like, okay, if it's something that your sergeant prefers that you go through him, he'll let you know, and then he'll go ahead and talk to the sergeant first class, and it goes up that way.
Gotcha.
Right.
Gotcha.
But in the Marines, it's very strict. It's like, oh, you got to go talk to your fire team leader or your squad leader first, and then your squad leader will talk to your section chief. Your section chief will talk to your platoon sergeant. Your platoon
At that
sergeant will
point, you're
bring it-
playing telephone, and now
Yeah,
whatever you
pretty
said
much.
gets
Yeah.
misconstrued by the time you
Yeah,
even get to where
yeah.
it needs to go. Gotcha. Gotcha.
And then the relationship between enlisted and officers are obviously a little different also. Between enlisted and officers, you don't really see them talk as much unless you're like higher enlisted, like you're E6, E7, E8s. You'll deal with the brass, right? You won't see that as much, when it's a sergeant, you won't deal with that. In the Army, if I see a lieutenant, I'm like, "Hey, sir, how are you? Like, how you doing?"
Right.
I won't do that in the Marines, right? I won't do that.
Right.
Like, yeah, who the fuck are you? Like, you're a
Yeah.
corporal. Be gone, peon.
Gotcha.
No.
So back to the quote, right? The second part was what? So we said discipline. What was the second part?
So the second part is it makes small numbers formidable, procures success to the weak, and esteem to all.
Right. So what do you think about that second part?
That's teamwork,
Teamwork. Right.
right?
Right.
That's basically the definition of teamwork at
Yeah.
that point. Right. Yeah. Very
one,
good.
There's one person can't accomplish a mission. You need a team to do it.
Yeah.
A team is a group of people that have the same objectives, the same mission in life. Whether it's life or you have the same goal, right? And you're working together to achieve the same goal or accomplishing the mission.
Right. So let's kind of narrow this down a little bit because of time.
Yeah.
Right. Do you have anything else you kind of want to ask him?
Not really. I mean, I think what if we could end off would be if you're talking to an 18-year-old that's interested in, enlisting in, whatever branch that is, what is something that you would give them advice, if they're looking for that?
I would first ask them, like, what is your goal? Like, what are you trying to get out of it, right? If you're 18 and you're looking to go to school and you're unsure of, how you're gonna get to go to school, the National Guard will provide you free tuition. At least New Jersey will. They'll give you free tuition. Only to state schools like Rutgers, stuff like that. So know the benefits of each branch. I'll probably find out like again like what their end goal is trying to do. If they're trying to just get away from this place, I'll tell them go active duty, man. Like go active duty, start fresh somewhere else. Get your career started,
And be fit.
and be fit, right? Go kick some ass.
Gotcha.
I don't know.
So to end this, right? So Cody said what you would tell somebody who's 18. Last question. If you could go back and change anything as far as your experience in the military, as far as going and staying Marine, transferring to Army Guard, would you change anything? Or did everything happen the way it should have?
I would not change anything. The values I learned from the Marines stayed with me while I was even in the Army, right? My work ethic, my drive for success, my career. I wouldn't be able to have the career that I have if it wasn't for, my military experience, my the Marines, right? A lot of the things that I learned, like a lot of my character of who I am was, obviously started up growing up, going to church and stuff, but also like the military, the Marines definitely played a huge role in it. I think it would have been different if I went to any other branch, right? Because they're not as strict. I don't think they are, at least. I mean, it's not as hard, right? It was more challenging. But I mean, at least for me, the values that I took from it, at least it was all from the Marines. I mean, I wouldn't change a thing. I think if, it's who I am. I mean, it made me the man I am today. Like, I wouldn't change anything about it. I'm very grateful for the military. I'm very grateful that I had the opportunity to serve. It's a privilege, right? I love this country. It's my home. To be able to serve this country and to protect my home is a great honor, and it's something I'll never change.
Well, I'm sure I speak for our followers and Cody himself. Thank you for your service.
Thank you for your support.
I'm sure everybody thanks you, and we're gonna wrap this up. I think it was a great episode. Cody, how you feel about it?
I had a blast, man. I just appreciate you being our first guest.
Yeah,
and
I think this was
it's
definitely
an
cool.
honor, man. It's an honor to be your guest.
Leave a comment below. Tell him thank you for your service. Let him know how much you guys support the military. We're going to end this off. Stay positive, stay humble. Like, comment, subscribe. Click the notification button above if you are watching this on YouTube, so that way you can always get updated and never miss a video. Cody, end it off.
Peace.
Peace.